Okay, I believe it's about time. So, let's start. My name is Alex Babaev. I'm the CTO of a small development company. We develop mobile applications, and I'm myself a developer. I developed Java for many years, and I used IntelliJ IDEA for that. And back when Apple introduced iPhone SDK, I started to develop for iPhone. There was no app code then. And now I code primarily in app code, and I want to tell you about this experience. So, what is app code? It's an IDE from JetBrains, and it is built on the same platform as IDEA is. So it has many of its features, and I'll show you. First version of this talk contained about 50 or maybe 80 slides with different screenshots how this or that feature works. But then I thought, whatever, my job is to code. So I basically will show you some of the features that AppCode provide. And there are some categories, of course. First of all, it's editor. I believe that IDEA platform provides the best editor for the development, for the programming. And it doesn't matter, do you use IDEA or IDEA-based IDE or ReSharper, editor is great anyway. And then navigation, refactorings, some highlighting stuff, and, well, something else. But first of all, several disclaimers. First disclaimer is about me, myself. I'm a geek. I use beta versions of all the software, so I have the latest beta version of OS 10, SDK, etc., etc. So something may go wrong. I'm sorry for that, but it's fine. And the second disclaimer is I won't tell you any keystrokes that I will press to do some magic stuff. That is why I started to use AppCode. Back then it was not even AppCode, it was called Cider, and there was no official key map back then. So I invented my own, and I use it still. It differs from official AppCode key map very much. So, well, I'll show you several ways how to create your own key maps and how to find stuff there. So, let's talk about AppCode. First demo about editor. AppCode looks like IntelliJ IDEA, nothing different here, but we have here header files, .m files, and all other stuff that you will find when you develop Objective-C iPhone application. This is a simple iPhone single window application that you can create with AppCode or with Xcode. They are very similar. First of all, let me see. Well, there is some strange symbols here, and basically I don't like this code style. I'm not used to it. So I'll reformat it. IDEA and AppCode has very powerful formatting tools. It can be customized any way you want. All the tabs, spaces, all the line breaks. And if you get some code from anywhere, from your coworker or from any other library from GitHub, it usually does not have your syntax, your formatting. And coding is about speed. You want to read code fast. You want to understand code fast. And correct formatting helps with it. So, first thing I do when I get some code in Objective-C or in C or maybe in C++ even, I reformat it totally. Then let's create a simple application. It is single view controller application. By the way, how many of you did something for iOS or for Mac development? Great, so almost everybody knows what this stuff is. So I want to create a simple UI table view with a single cell, just to show IDE, not the iOS stuff. Well, let's begin. First of all, app code like IDEA or like ReSharper wants not to think in the future. If you need something, do it, and let app code create different things for you. For example, my table view. I write this thing here. It is highlighted because it doesn't have this method. But then I create it. Okay, here it is. So now I want to create a table view itself. And, well, I don't have it yet. And now I press Smart Autocompletion. I can press usual autocompletion here, but, well, it's no use here. Doesn't matter. But Smart Autocompletion knows that this is a table view and how it can be created. So I'll create it like this. Great. Let me hide this. Now I want to edit. And next thing, I have to create a delegate and the data source for this table view, of course. Well, let it be self. You see, it is highlighted again. What app code tells me that, well, I have to implement a protocol. Usually I will go to header file and write some stuff here, but this is not app code way. I just press implement and it is done automatically for me. Then data source, again it's yellow. And now this thing is yellow. Why? Because when we implement data source protocol, we have to implement two methods. And app code highlights and shows me that. Great. Implement required methods. Here are they highlighted. I can deselect one of them, but what for? So they're generated. I don't like them here. I want them lower. And let's create a mark. Here I used live template. It's a simple thing that I write some text and then press keystroke and it expands to something more meaningful. Great, let's have one cell here and let's return this cell. Again, it's something new. Let code define that for me. And I almost done. Well, that's not a correct thing for the cell, because first you have to eject cell from the table view and then try to create. Well, let's do this. Another thing, surround with. So and here so let's do something. Text label text. So here it is. What else can you look at here? JetBrains platform again. There is several more features I would like to show you. For example, search and replace. It is a general feature for an IDE, yes, but we have several things interesting here. For example, you see I checked regular expression mark, and Xcode highlights all these things it did find. Why? Because I don't need all these comments. So I press replace all and they are deleted. Then I'll reformat and it'll delete all empty lines when in those. But hold on, I removed my header, but I want it back. Another feature is local history. We can show local history and it contains all changes of my file. It's something like a local version control system. So I'll return all these things and I have my click button there. Okay, so this is basic and, well, not very basic stuff that it doesn't work. Why? Oh, here it is. I didn't show everything. Xcode editor contains all the features from IntelliJ platform and a very powerful thing. But several features I want to highlight here. Copy-paste things. I didn't show all of them, but for example, if you press Command-C or Command-C, Command-X to copy or cut text without selecting anything, you will copy or cut a current line. Speeds up the development a lot. You can duplicate strings, you can delete strings without selecting them before that. Autocompletion, I showed you basic autocompletion and smart autocompletion. Smart autocompletion knows how to create table views, arrays, dictionaries, all the kinds of things. Then auto-formatting and auto-imports. Auto-formatting you have seen. Auto-imports is the thing when you enter some class and you haven't imported a header for this class. Xcode adds import for you. I haven't tried import statement almost maybe for 1.5 years. Camel humps. You know, Apple and, well, it is Java style, it's Apple style of coding. We use camel humps to define variables, different other identifiers. Xcode knows about camel humps, and it allows you to step by word, not by whole identifiers, but word by word. You can select a single word in a camel hump identifier or move it. So we can quickly select, quickly fix something if you did that. Well, it's an selection and better is good things. I'll show you in general how it works. So, next thing, navigation. When I code, many times I get some code from outside, from my coworkers, from open source projects, etc. And first of all, I reformat it, as I said before. And after that, I want to find out what it contains, what features does it contain, and how can I use them, what methods are there, etc., etc. So, let me show you. It is some kind of our library that we use in our company. It's called DPL, so DevPocket library, but whatever. For example, somebody gave you this library and tell you that there are some networking stuff that you can use. How can you search, how can you navigate through this library? First of all, of course, you can look at project structure, find some sources, some different other things. Yes, many things here. So, Let's go to class. I told you that there is some networking class, so network, yeah, there are some networking classes. Let's go here, and we can show class structure. There are many categories, fields, variables here, many things. For example, you want to find out how can you execute requests. You can enter requests, well, still many things here. Maybe I can execute request. Nice. So you can search through class, you can filter out unnecessary methods, and quickly go there. After that, here is gutters. I told about them in the previous slide. There is left gutter, here it is, and right gutter, here it is. Left gutter is all about navigation. Here are some small icons. For example, this icon shows me go to. It shows related files. File class counterpart, for example, a header file for an .m file, or superclasses, or something like that. Also, here it is, go to definition declaration, counterpart, or definition of the method, or implementation of the method. If you overridden something, here it is, it's an implementation, so there is some protocol, and I implement it here, and I can press and go to the protocol there. Also, there are things for overridden methods, but I don't see them right here. Okay, next thing about navigation. Just a small remark, one time I tried to count all the navigation methods that are there in Xcode. I stopped at about 18 of them or something like that. I won't tell you about every single one of them, but about several more. Next thing is TODOs. Here in right gutter you see blue lines. These are TODOs. They are in Russian, but you can write in your language, obviously. Why are they so important and so helpful here? Because they are automatically collected in this tool window, and you never will lose them. Often you write some to-do, then you commit and forget about it forever. Well, it mustn't happen, and usually it doesn't happen in IDE. I look here regularly and check things and correct things, fix. Mark several parts of your code and quickly switch between them. You can do here several methods. You can assign a mnemonic bookmark, usual bookmark, but I usually use quick bookmarks for simple numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here is 1, here is 2, and then I can switch between them. It obviously does not work because someone messed up with my keystroke. But here it is, 2, 1, unnamed bookmark, and bookmark T for some reason. Let's delete them all. So here are some of similar way here. Great, here it is. So, one more thing I didn't show you, I'll show you next demo. It is about GoTo. I used GoTo in the beginning of the last demo, GoTo class, to find a network class. But I can go to class, I can go to file, and not every file is a class, for example, HTML file or something like that. I can go to symbol if I remember how symbol is called, but I don't remember what class it is in. And it is all about, it's all related to code. And I can go to action. This thing, I cannot remember almost anything in IDE. It is about app code, it is about idea. But I can press one single keystroke, go to action, and then find actions with IDE, with my code, there. And there you will see, let me show this. Here it is. For example, I want something to, well, refactor maybe. Here are all actions about refactoring. Or find. Here are actions about search. You see here variants, and you see here my own key mapping for these actions. And you will see all of it. You can learn stuff here. You can find out about keystrokes here. Very, very useful stuff. It works, but that way. Next thing, refactorings. When somebody talks about IntelliJ IDEA, it talks about editor and refactorings. Refactorings are here too. There are not so many as IDEA has, but there are some. Let me show some of them. Back to our small project about table view cell. Let me imagine that I don't need this method anymore. I want to inline it. Well, I can do this. Here it is right now, it's inlined. But then, hold on, I reversed my opinion. So I want to extract method again. I can do it with this. In fact, it is not about methods, but it is about all other things, variables, instance variables, class variables. For example, I see a duplicate, a self-string. We don't have to use duplicates in our code, so let me introduce a variable. And in fact, if I don't remember a keystroke, it doesn't work for some strange reason, I can always, of course, I can use find action, extract variable, and I can use Refactor This pop-up. This pop-up contains all my refactorings, and I can select any of them by choosing it, or simply pressing cursor right now. Xcode knows that there are two cells there. You can replace all of them. Yes, that looks like a good name. Also, I showed you about surround with. It is similar to Refactor This thing, and very useful, very helpful. Usually I use it with if something you have to refactor this. Most complex is there in Xcode is whatever change signature refactoring. It allows me to change signature of the method, add parameters, remove parameters, change their names or types. And the strength of it is that it will update all my code, all my calls of this method. For example, here I can refactor this and rename it. And maybe I want to do something like this. Extract instance variable. Nodes and set. Initialize it somewhere else. let's here, and maybe even introduce a parameter. So this is how editing and refactorings worked. They worked together. I select something, then I refactor it, move something, copy paste, then I remember that I want to rename this because its semantics has been changed, so I do all this stuff. And I don't think about it, just do it. The only thing I didn't show from these lists is pool members. If you have some class, you have some superclass, and you want to move some methods to an upper to a superclass, you can do it with a simple refactoring. It's a basic stuff. Sometimes I even don't remember what I use anymore. I use IDEA platform so long, so maybe I forget something. Next thing is highlighting. Well, a code highlights a lot. I'll show you in a minute. I tried to count all the things that subcode can highlight, and I stopped at about several hundred features. It highlights all the things that Xcode highlights because of CLang parsing. It highlights syntax highlight. It knows about camel humps, as I already told. It can check your syntax in these words. It highlights different errors, different warnings. There are so many things that it shows. And here's another thing about speeding up development. Usually, regular coding contains, it is a cycle. You code something, then you try to compile it, then you run it, then you find some bugs, then you go fixing coding again. That code removes compiling and running steps here. You edit things, then you see that something is not right. There is some kind of policy here. Here is right gutter, and you can see a red line, an error here, and yellow line, a warning here. So there is some kind of policy. You can write your code so that there are no warnings and errors highlighted. If there is some kind of warning and you want to ignore it, you can. And that way you there is funny statistics here that is called productivity guide. And it shows me, for example, that quick fixes before compilation, even before running your code. Okay, let's switch back. Oh, wow. It kind of works now. Great. And you can assign 1, 2 keystrokes or mouse clicks or whatever. You can also customize color schemes. Some prefer one color, some prefer another. One interesting feature that appeared in Xcode 2.0 and it appeared in the last version of IDEA is Darkola, the dark theme, and it differs from usual dark syntax highlighting schemes that it recolors all the IDE, including all menus, all pop-ups, etc., etc. So if you change to Darkola and no, don't restart, and go to full screen mode, well, it's a dark IDE, so you can work at night or do something else. In fact, there is even more here. For example, you come to a customer and customer wants you to fix some bug, and you have only a small laptop with you, for example, MacBook Air 11 inches. You need all the space you need on the screen. We have quite some things that, for example, tabs. Whatever, screw them, then hide two buttons, hide status bar, and we have only code. Things here, how can we navigate files. We have recent files dialog. It is basically it is the same tabs. Of course, we have go to class or go to file or go to symbol, and we have recent files where we can switch between files easily. Okay, let me restore at least some of these things. And okay. So next thing, I already showed you live templates for Mark, but there are more, and you can of course you can create your own. For example, there is a live template for init method, or it is no use here, but init with frame method. It won't work because it's not your view. And logging is simplified. And if I insert something here, Xcode does know that, well, we need something to output here. So it's okay, but if I will write, for example, like this, Xcode does know that this placeholder needs an object, and here it is, we have a bool value, so it shows me that, and we can even quick fix it. So, did I forget something? Black screen? It's about, oh, great. Let's switch to our DPL code again. Here are some files highlighted in blue. There can be also files highlighted in different colors. What these colors mean that these files are changed, and I had to commit them someday somehow. Also, Xcode, it all goes directly from the platform. Shows you little tool window that is called Changes, and that shows you all the changes you made in your project. Of course, you can look at changes in diff window. Of course, you have a commit window with all these changes and with preview and with commit message, etc. Log, etc., etc., etc. Often, Xcode gets all these things from platform directly, and support for the VCS. We have been shown new continuous version system from JetBrains that will appear somehow. It is great, but right now we are stuck with Git or Subversion or Perforce or something else. Xcode, of course, supports it all, and there are many great tools to use with version control, but usually I prefer working with Xcode directly. Why use a tool if it is so good already here? Well, great. So I talked about these things. How can you use them? Is it okay to use Xcode right now? How does it compare with Xcode? I primarily use Xcode for coding. All the stuff that is about headers or source code files, about HTML, CSS, JavaScript files, XML files, all these things I prefer doing in Xcode. When I get some kind of project, I prefer to navigate to explore it in Xcode. It's easier for me, and it has more instruments for it. Of course, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do UI. There is nothing like interface builder in it. It doesn't do visual core data things. You have to use Xcode for it. And it uses Xcode for building things. It uses Xcode Build, a console tool for building projects. And it is based around Xcode project files. So it creates its small directory, but basically it reads Xcode project file and writes directly to it. So usually I have Xcode and Xcode open simultaneously, and I switch back and forth to do different things, different tasks that are suitable for the application. Yes?
How well does it track the new iOS SDK?
Well, not instantly. Apple has a preferred there. They know what they will develop in the future, but very, very quickly. For example, when iOS 7 SDK and Mavericks were announced during WWDC, Xcode got support in about, I believe, a couple of days. It was basic support, but eventually it got better and better, and I started to use iOS 7 development with Xcode in about a week from that. Yes, any more questions? Yes.
I like using Bookmarks for maintaining third-party libraries. So does it support workspaces, or do I need to use?
Well, Cocoa Pods are supported in the latest EAP release 2.5. They released it, well, about a week ago, and it has full support of Cocoa Pods with syntax highlighting of pods file, with repositories, etc., etc. Any more questions? Almost anything. I use that code, well, almost forever. No? Great. Thanks a lot.